Today I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the OnTarget application. We will start with showing you the mobile app, and then I'll move to the desktop so that you can see both of those navigations. The data is exactly the same, but most folks find that the mobile app is more convenient when providing services out in the community if you need to clock in and out for EVV purposes, gather the member signature, or perhaps even complete and sign your documentation. So first things first, I'm going to share my screen from my mobile device. And you can download the OnTarget app wherever you typically get your applications for your mobile device. So for me with an iPhone, it's the App Store. The name of the official app is OnTarget by Abound Health. So this is the icon you'll be looking for when you download the application. Once you download and open OnTarget, you'll be presented with this login screen. Every individual has their own unique username and password. You'll notice there is a forgot password link down at the bottom. So if you do have an issue and you need to reset your password, you can do that. Also, you can check the box to remember your username so that that detail in the first field will persist. When I click login, you'll notice here across the bottom navigation, we have the Action Center, Schedules, Notes, Timesheets, and Profile here across the blue. We default to the schedule, and this is showing me as this example caregiver where I am scheduled to work and with whom. So today is Thursday, January 22nd, and you can see I'm scheduled to provide 30 minutes of PCS to this test client. Because this service requires EVV, you will see the clock in button is enabled. And as soon as you push that button, it will give you confirmation that you've clocked in successfully, and it will give you the details since you've been clocked in. So it'll let you know when you hit that clock in button. Okay. Now from here, I could go to the home button and log out, put my phone down and go about my business. Or I can click the Start Note button. So from here, you'll see the list of tasks or assignments that you would be responsible for in providing this service with this particular individual. And you'll just click each one of these and address either yes or NA if you did run this task, for example. So if yes, we did meal prep and feeding, click complete, and then move right on down the list. You do have a comment box if for some reason you want to add a comment. You can click NA if that didn't happen. And so, yes, I could say folded extra linens and complete. Oh, see, it will make me select something. Okay, and then it takes me back to that task list again. So you can see all of these are now checked. That lets me know that I've addressed all those specific items, and it will move me next to the additional fields. These are typically on the paper document would be at the header of your note. And so I'll go back so you can see that. Was the employer hospitalized during this pay period? No. Has their health changed? I'm going to click same. And then this is where you can have the member add their signature. So this defaults to the draw signature, and it is just, use your finger on this touchpad. Okay. From here, I can save this detail. And if I hit confirm time, it's going to take me to the last phase of this note. And so you'll see that this clock in time was at 2:48. That is the start time on this note. That's the clock in time that will be sent for EVV purposes. And that'll be the time that we populate onto your timesheet. So if I try to sign this note right now, it's not going to let me because the end time is still empty. I need to clock out before I can sign this note. So you could go back to the schedule button, and here's that clock out. Now, I don't want to do that because I've only been at work for 3 minutes. And if I clock out now, it would result in an invalid note. So give us just a minute and we'll come back to that. Okay, I'm gonna hop back in. It is 3:01, and if you remember, I clocked in at 2:48, so just covering a little bit more ground here in the mobile app, and then I'll clock out in just a second. So the Action Center is quickly where you can see things that need your attention, notes that haven't been signed, a timesheet that's pending, trainings or certifications that are coming due. Again, back to the schedule so you can see future dates of service and who you're working with. Here's the notes search. And so you can see notes you haven't started, notes that are unsigned, and notes that are signed. And here's the timesheet menu so you can see in a bigger picture ones that are pending and what's been signed. And then here on the profile, you can see your own employee or user information. So the demographics, the paychecks, the taxes, etc. All of this would be specific to me as a caregiver or DSP. The Assign Clients button, however, is going to show you some client information. So the individuals or members you work with, you'd be able to see some specific ID information and that you are assigned to that individual. All right, we go back to the schedule. I'm going to clock out. My clock out has been successfully recorded. And then here we are. So back to the note. This is what we just said. Go through the additional fields. Done. Confirm time. And now you'll see the start and the end time here. The clock in and clock out time. Now both of those are populated and I can sign this note. To sign the note, you put in the same password you used to log in. And hopefully you remember it. Confirm. And now we can see that that note has been signed. So if I go to the notes menu, now under this signed listing, I've got this note, this 2:45 to 3 o'clock. That's the note I just completed. Once those notes get approved, you would then see all of that respective time on your existing timesheet. We're going to log back into the desktop, but that should help at least give you a view of how to navigate in the mobile app. Welcome back. I'm going to show you how to access and use OnTarget from a desktop or laptop instead of a mobile device. This is a web-based application, so you're going to want to go to your internet browser and type in this web address, ontargetclinical.com. I do recommend bookmarking that address so you can quickly access it whenever you need to. I'm going to use the same username information we used on the mobile app, and especially to highlight that these are the same applications, just different navigation. So we have lots of users who will go back and forth between their mobile app and the desktop, depending on where they are in the situation and what work they need to accomplish. I'm going to click log in. You'll notice when I log in, this view is a little different than what we saw on the mobile app, but we're looking at this navigation here along the left. I want to just call out very quickly here on my dashboard, the data that will render here is specific to you as a user. So you can see I'm logged in here in this top as the caregiver. Any tasks that have been sent to me by another user or auto-generated by OnTarget would load here. Any notes that I've started writing and are unsigned would be listed here. If I click this box, this will show me notes that I have signed but are yet to be approved. So it is really critical to always pay attention to these two areas on your dashboard every time you log in because there's going to be critical information. Okay, so from here, what I want to call out is we're going to jump straight to the schedule. You'll remember that that was the default navigation in the mobile app. If I come to the schedule, now I've got a couple of checkboxes and filters here. I want to also point out you can change this view. If you like a big month calendar view, that's great. If you want to drill down to just a week or a work week, that's totally fine, or a day. I'm going to go back to month. And then if I click show all, this is going to show me all events where I'm scheduled to provide service for an individual or to an individual. Okay. If I hover over these events, you'll see this window exposes in the tooltip, giving us a little more detail about the client, the service, when I'm providing that service, and the duration that's being authorized. So today you can see I had 3 different encounters or intervals of service delivery for this one individual. What I want to call out next is here are these 2 checkbox options. This is really helpful for you to understand where you are with your documentation responsibilities. So this checkbox says show note created, the opposite show note not created. If I click show note created, we'll notice the data changes and only these 2 events are remaining because I've already done those notes for today. If I click show note not created, the opposite is present. So this is the note we're getting ready to write in just a second. You can see the duration is only for 15 minutes. These events are in the future, this one, and these next week. That makes total sense that we don't have a note for those yet. But here's yesterday's event. I was supposed to work with the same client for 2 hours, and we don't have a note to support that, which is a problem. Okay. From here, if I click on this event, let's get ready to jump in and do today's note. Just like we saw in the mobile app, because this is an EVV service, we do have to clock in first. So I'm going to hit the clock in button. It's going to give me an option to select which time interval is appropriate because this is the only shift I have remaining today. This is all I see in my drop-down list that I'm eligible to clock in against. I'll hit confirm. That will refresh. There we go. And it'll show I've been clocked in since 10:04. If I click this now, it will take me to the note screen. I'm going to expand this just a little bit. You'll notice that this view is different than what we saw in the mobile app as well. It does start with presenting these first questions that you're accustomed to on your paper note. Was the employer hospitalized? No. Has their health changed? Nope, it's the same. And then I'm going to hit create note. A couple of things to point out. This is already populating the start and end time based on the fact that we know this is only supposed to be a duration of 15 minutes, and it's rounding based on the fact that I clocked in at 10:04. It's rounding down to 10 o'clock. Okay. Additionally, once I hit save and I load that note, you'll see these tasks are presented in one view and one long list, and you can address them in this same view. From the mobile app, you'll remember you had to click on that individual task, mark it as yes or NA, then hit complete for it to load the next. This is a little more efficient, I think, because you can see all of them in one view. And you will very quickly, you'll notice this tooltip tells me that my only allowed keys are the letter or the character X. So I can go down this row and put in an X, hit my down arrow X, or if you prefer to use your mouse, you can do that as well. If I want to mark that we didn't do any toileting today, I can mark an A there, transfer, didn't do any housework, we did run some errands. Each one of these rows does need to be addressed. If you leave one of them blank by mistake, you'll notice that this row stays highlighted in yellow. That's just a visual cue that you've not yet addressed that task. Okay. From here, I can save the work I've done so far. And then if I'm working from the home and my member is present and I need to have them sign this note, the first thing you'll do is you'll click on this little pencil, and then that gives you the ability to scribble the member's signature here in this view. So I'm just gonna beautiful. Okay, now if I save that again, and then I'm gonna click sign note to complete this note. Well, guess what? I still have to clock out because this note is an EVV service and I'm required to clock out. So we'll come back in just a few minutes. It's only been 3 minutes since I clocked in. I don't want to clock out right now because this would result in an invalid note. So hang tight. We'll be right back. Okay, it is now officially 10:19. So I'm going to clock out. I can sign my note. I'll put in the same password I used to log in. And we'll get confirmation that the note has been successfully processed. You'll notice here in this workflow chart that now this note is marked as signed. And very easily I can close this out. Now remember, if I go back and use these filters and say, show me the notes that are created, now all three of those events will be retained because we have notes for all of them. If we go back to the dashboard and click this box, we can see this is the note that I've just written and signed, but it's yet to be approved. So it does live here on this dashboard until that note gets approved. The other thing worth highlighting is once those notes get approved, they will populate to the timesheet. In the mobile demonstration earlier today, we didn't have any notes that were approved, and so that timesheet appeared blank. If I go to the timesheet menu here in the desktop, now that I've approved some of those notes, I'll see my timesheet listed here for the appropriate pay period, and then any of the notes that have been both signed and approved, that time will be recorded here already, automated on my timesheet. So we'll see this 30 minutes from earlier this morning, the 15 minutes from the mid-afternoon. The note I just wrote for 15 minutes has not yet been approved, but when it is, it will be here as well. At the end of the pay period, it'll be your responsibility to come into this timesheet, review this information. You'll see your totals down here at the bottom, and then ultimately sign your timesheet. I hope that helps give you a little better understanding of the OnTarget desktop view. Again, you are welcome to write notes either on your mobile device or on your desktop, depending on where you are and how you provide your service. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're excited for you to start using OnTarget.